Okay, welcome to the second episode. Now, for the given text file, which has order details, we have designed a fact table. Now, next task is how to transform. Now, when you are doing an ETL, don't always start with the tools. First, plan it. I'm not saying planning will give you all the comprehensive results or the solution, but before jumping into a tool, plan it. How are you going to do this? So in this example, where we have three types of records, HD and T, in the order text file, this has to be transformed into a ETL or rather fact table. So before doing anything, what I did was I did a ChatGPT query. So I'll show you how what are the responses from the ChatGPT. Right. So I have uh, told ChatGPT this is my fact table and this is my sample data, and I have given the logic or rather description about this data. Otherwise, ChatGPT would be in trouble. Right. So this is her responses. So it has identified three records, and it has identified the target fact table schema, and then it has come up with a logic. So logic, what it has done is it will group the records by order number, and then for each order number you rename the column. That's a very good thing, because even though in the header column 1 is date, in the total record it is currency, and in the product code it is, in the detail record it is the product code. So when you are working with ETLs, first task that it has done is it has renamed the columns according to the business logic, which is very good task. Then the computing of these columns, computation also done. And then the lookup, remember, you have to get the surrogate keys. We are looking at the surrogate keys. So even though I did not say that the surrogate keys, it has identified. Only thing is here, missing part is in the employee dimension. I should have stated that it is type 2 dimension. And so that's basically my mistake, which I did not provide any additional information to the ChatGPT. So that's fine. Yeah, order date, that's also good. Those are also done. Seems like it, even though I did not say that, it has used AdventureWorks columns itself. Right, that's okay. Right. So what it has done is, basically, even though it is not very clear what it is doing, suddenly it is come up with the staging orders, staging order details, staging order T records. Whether you are inserting it to a staging table, that was not clear. Or else what I think what it has done is it has separated these records into three separate tables: staging and ordered staging records, DT and H, and then you are doing this large join. Then I ask him to join this simple diagram, which it has done. So you can see the HD and T, do the joining, calculation, and aggregation, and then do the lookup for each surrogate keys and load it to the fact table. This is okay, provided you have small number of data. Typically, you receive large volume of data. In that sense, number one, it is little difficult. Performance-wise, it might not be the proper solution. Number two, when you're running a large query like this, just imagine if the customer dimension, if you don't find a relevant customer dimension, what will happen? If you don't find a customer dimension record for a particular text file, it can happen. In data warehousing, these things can happen. Your text file can have garbage. It can have garbage because it's a text file. File can have misalignments and whatever. Let's say in this one, your employee ID number is correct, product is correct, currency is correct, promotion is correct, location is, everything is correct except for the customer. If that happens, your entire fact records will not be inserted. That particular order number will not be inserted to the customer. Typically, what we do is in data warehousing, in case we can't find it, in case that particular customer is not available in the dimension, we mark it as no customer, but we insert all the other records. Typically, in customer dimensions, we have a surrogate key called -1. If you don't find a particular customer, we don't remove the entire record. We still keep the record, marking that only the customer is missing, so that later you can correct it rather than correcting other, uh, rather than ignoring the entire record. And on the other hand, sometimes some people might want to do analysis on the date, dimension, because of the fact that the customer is not available. It's unfair to remove entire record. So therefore, even though this has some valid solution, it's not the complete solution. If I can add more conversation into this ChatGPT, it will give me the better solution. So therefore, let's find a proper optimized solution. Another typical way of, as a developers, what they think is, when you are looking at this particular text file, you might think, okay, fine. First, let's ignore these two records, which is not relevant to us. Then, rather, all three records, the lines. Then we read line by line. If it is H, let's do this. If it is D, let's do this. If it is T, let's do this. If you find a H again, this is another order. So you perform this by line, which is again will work. Technically, it will work. But the problem with that is, when you are dealing with large volume of data, this solution might not be optimum solution. In data warehousing, we have to remember we are dealing with large volume of data. That is something we can't ignore. Right. So keep that in mind. First of all, before looking into any logic, let's see how this data should be represented in the fact table. Let's take one example, order number 1125. Let's see how this 1125 record should be represented in the fact table. Okay. So let's assume this is our fact table, this is our fact table, and this is our text file. So let's see how are we going to populate the fact table. Forget about the logic first and foremost. Right. So let's see. So order number, obviously it is 1125. Before that, now granularity is an important factor in a dimension. So in this in fact tables, we have to define what the granularity is. So here we have defined our granularity as we will have a record per item number. So in that sense, we will end up with two fact records in this fact table because we will have a record per line item. There can be different granularities. There can be customer wise granularities per record per date. There can be granularities per customer, per product, per month. So depending on that, your fact table design will change. So here our fact table is focusing on the lowest granularity level that we can have. So keep that in mind. So we will end up with two records. So we will have the order number 1125 in both records. So the quantity would be, for the first record, quantity would be 12. The second one, quantity would be 10. Unit price 45, 12.75. Discount percentage would be 1 and 0. So the gross amount is, I will use a calculation here. So this would be our gross value. Discount amount is this. So net amount is gross amount minus discount amount. So measures are easily done. Don't think about the solution. Let's see what it should be. Right? Right. Then the customer key. Now, as I said, we can't simply insert AW001001 because this is the customer code. We need the surrogate key. So we need to get the surrogate key of this particular customer. I hope I will type it correctly. So that would be my customer key. So this would be in the both records. Employee key, again, this is the employee number. So we need to get the relevant customer key. So for the both records, it will be same. So I will have that value for the both records. Product key, so that is different from record to record. In the first one, that is the SK of this product, and the other one SK of AR5381. So that is also done. Then we have the currency key, which is SK of USD, so which is valid for both records. Promotion SK of, in this particular example, Mountain Tire Sale. That is also done. Location, right, Southwest. That is SK of Southwest, which is valid for the both. And then organization, Southwest Division, SK of Southwest Division. Then order date, again we can do a lookup. Which you saw in the in the ChatGPT answer as well. But ideally, since we have a date surrogate key is a special surrogate key, we do not have to do a lookup unless that's unnecessary. We can simply use uh, we can simply remove the dashes and we can create the order date key without doing too much of manipulations. Then so this would be current date time. Right. So now we know how it should be. Again, still we are not sure about our solution. We know how it should end up with. Now let's do a furthermore analysis into this. So, sorry. Now let's see where these records are coming from, where these values are coming from. So order number exists in all records, whether it's H, D or T, they are available in all these three records, right? So I would say it's available in all records. So I will mark it as gray. So basically, if it is gray, that is all records. Then quantity. Where do you have the quantity? That is in the detail record. I'm marking only the first line only. So this will be available. These are the D records. Unit price, D record. Discount percentage, D record. Gross amount, not available, but it's a derived column. So it's a derived column or calculated column. Similar discount amount and the net amount. Customer key available in the H record, right? So I will mark it as in a different color. This is in H record. Employee, H record. Product, it's a D record. So product is a D record. Currency, I believe it's a T record. So we don't have a color yet for T records. So I would say this one for the T records. So this is T record. This is coming from T records. This is coming from T record. This is T. This one is the order date is H. Order expire date is H. And this one, last one is the derived calculated column, or we introduce that. So you can see how the different types of records that are used to generate one record. So now the challenge is how to do this. What is the logic? So you can see, even though initially we saw it as a very simple text file, things are not that simple, right? So we need to you need to focus more, right? So let's see, how are we going to do this? So you will have the idea of what ChatGPT generated as well, right? So I will write this logic here. First thing you do is, So remember, we have to start from here. So our source is this, our target is this. This is our source and this is our target. Now, this is the one of the reason for us to have data warehouses. What we are doing is we are developing an analytical platform. Right. So first thing we should do is, now you can see you will have in a one record, fact line, you will have records coming from all three records, all three record types, which means we need to bring them to a one record. So what we can do is, first task is split records by record, sorry, order type, H, D, and T. Number two, once you split them, they are in three different sets, which is what ChatGPT has done. Then what we are doing is, but we are not inserting it to another database because that will have a performance issue. So then what we are doing is we are join them, or let's say join three record sets by order number. You split them into three, H and D and T, then you join them by order number. So that will reduce your records to two records. Why? So you had one H record, two detailed record. I'm referring to this particular order number, and one T record, two D records and one T records. And then you are joining them. That will end up with two records. In those two records, you will have, so if I illustrate this, you will end up with this one, and this one. For the next record, this one. For the next D record I was referring to, this one and this one. But now it is quite close to the fact table design that we have. Quite close. Not yet done, but quite close. So second task is also done. So third task, we can go through this each by line. So we can calculate gross amount, discount amount, and net amount. Then we can get date keys by removing hyphen. 5. So we have to get the surrogate keys for each and every dimensions. Rather than doing it for the join, what we can do is we can get the SK for customer dimension. Then we get the SK for employee dimension. Get the SK for product dimension. Get the SK for promotion. So currency dimension. Get the SK for promotion dimension. Get the SK for location dimension. Get the SK for organization dimension. Then get the current date and time. load to the fact table. Before that, I have missed one task, that is ignore first 3 lines. So now you can see very simple tasks with simple text file, which has become very complex in ETL. That is how ETLs are. That is how ETLs are. So now, hope you understood the difficulties and challenges in ETL. So next, in the third episode, we will use a tool, basically an implementation of what we have discussed here.